me on done.
Don't know what that guy's thinking about, but anyway, first thing I see when I come off the train, two people just crazily making out. Really weird. But yeah, I don't know how to get out of this train station. Way out. Right, I do not like the look of this. Oh. Okay, what the I am definitely not in the right area. But yeah, this weekend, as you guys might have seen with Iran, this whole idea of war that's going on now, gold prices can potentially shoot, so be aware. Naturally, what happens when there's war of any kind, or any talk of war, commodities prices tend to rocket. And the reason being is because investors, they want to pull out of unstable markets and put the money into stable markets. So don't be surprised if you see general gold and commodities prices rocket. I think that is Hochi right there. Let me go get him before he gets to me. I swear I'd seen him, and he just disappeared. I literally seen him behind that white car. Oh, he's ringing me.
Where are you?
Where are you?
Dollar's looking like it's probably going to be a tomorrow play. Pound dollar as well. Because we're coming into a position where we could easily start turning around for the buys, so we have to be careful of that. But we've got the particular structures there, super straightforward. DXY as well, positioning. It's only really one more level that we can get to, and then we're going to get a big turnaround in price. So it's just about staying ready, because once these runs go, they're super aggressive.
You know what we figured out today?
What's that?
After all the filming, the planning, I'm only here for 3 days by the way, so tomorrow's my final day. We've basically been planning something new for our education structure. We've already got a lot in there, but this is like an extra addition. And I mean, we're so excited, Hochi's flooring it today, but...
That's hybrid mode, mate.
Crazy.
Well, I planned this on a flight. So I was on a flight on the way back from Australia, and the one thing I figured out is this industry is full of arrogance. I know it's a strange angle to come from, but I realised that people are so arrogant that they believe that if they know how to mark up a chart and they understand a bit of technical analysis, that will be enough to get them through. And that's probably the biggest lie that you get sold when learning how to trade. So then I realised, right, so what is the edge? It's not just strategy alone. There's so much more that comes into play than just how you trade the markets. You've got to have everything figured out. Easiest way for me to explain it is that you need to become well-rounded. If you're not well-rounded, you'll do the loop of, you'll get some temporary success, but it will never last. And then you'll always be fantasizing over this idea that if I know more, if I have more understanding, that will get me closer to success. And you will waste years upon years upon years thinking that is the holy grail to success. There is a much more simple way. It's not actually complicated what I'm talking about. I've never met any successful trader that is not well-rounded, and what you usually find, if they're not well-rounded, they might be technically switched on enough to make money, but they're not consistent with it.
Mental if you start doing 360s. Is their tail supposed to be like that? Is it groomed like that?
No, it's not like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, because it's really annoying. So we've got to figure out a strategy like ASAP this week before, because once that momentum goes...
How are you guys so comfortable spending up 5-6 grand on challenges and you still not made a payout, and you statistically know that you probably won't make a payout?
Yeah.
Yet you won't invest in learning the proper education.
Yeah.
What a benefit that would be to you. Short all the way through life because they don't have the right amount of confidence, let alone faith. Give a guess as to the percentage. Well, it's somewhere between 98 and 100.
Right guys, so this wraps up the final day at Mark. He's just at the gym at the moment. I think he should be back any minute. He's actually just driving in now. We're just going to finalize some things. It's been a fantastic trip as usual. We've been planning things that I can't really give you too much information on, but if I was to give you a slight clue, it's going to be an addition into the education structure, and it's going to be something very, very exciting. Let me just make it clear. As a Falcon student, if you come in and you sign up, you've technically got everything that you need already. We've got the mechanics, we've got all the stuff. You could even take away the webinars, which are fantastic and have value packed, don't get me wrong, but even with just the stationary content alone, you've got so much information and knowledge there, specialized knowledge, not just us throwing out knowledge and you have to decipher it by yourself. It's structured, organized knowledge that you can become a profitable trader. Now let me make something clear. I remember I sent Mark a voice message back in 2019 and I said to him, I go, look, I've got a friend who worked in finance at the time, and because I was looking for private investor capital, my concern was, do I need a license for it? And this friend of mine said, look, at some point soon, potentially in the next 2-3 years, banks may clamp down on retail investors who look out to get private investor capital, and they might require a license to trade that money. So I asked Mark his opinion and he goes, look, don't worry about it. Do what you can for now, and that may take some time. And in the next year or two, I'm going to be launching something for the students where they can trade licensed capital, obviously our prop firm. And this is early 2019, before prop firms were even a big thing. They existed, don't get me wrong, but this is before they were even a big thing. So many things were planned. All these things have been thought through, structured and organized in a proper way so that traders can get looked after. And I appreciated that early on. This is why I'm still here. This is why I'm with Mark today, because I recognize this early on, that this is authentic. This is what I want to be around. If there was no authenticity, if he was a disingenuous person, if the Falcon team was disingenuous, if what Falcon had was disingenuous, I wouldn't be here making this video right now, right? I have no gain by making this. Let me just make this clear. I have no gain by making this video at all. In fact, for people who don't believe me, you can go back on my social pages and see that I've been saying the same thing that I'm saying right now. I've been giving these praises for a long, long time, because credit has to be given where it's deserved. Take, for example, even our psychology program. Okay, so you've got Falcon, which looks after the technicals, it looks after the meetups, looks after the capital side of things, the security, and so many things, like the wealth creation mastermind that we had, okay, was a part of this bigger picture. The funded traders club, that's all Falcon based. Then you've got Rewired, which is our psychology program. Now what I find absolutely laughable, and please do me a favor, if anybody is giving you this impression or even saying this, they're full of shit. Right? Absolutely full of shit. People who say what I'm about to say have very limited, very limited understanding or knowledge of psychology, which tells you a lot about a trader. I'm not saying you have to become a clinical psychologist. I'm not a clinical psychologist by any means. I've done a lot of research and study into psychology, and I tell you what, 95% of it is absolute waste of time. You don't need to understand all these different things about the neocortex and the biology of the brain. I completely agree with that. But the remaining 5% is specialized knowledge. The same thing goes with technicals. I could go on for days, show you all over social media, all these people banging on about all these different technicals and details and whatever. A lot of it is irrelevant. Really and truly is irrelevant. If you look at and study trading veterans, a lot of them traded in a very simple way. I know people who trade support and resistance, genuinely an outdated method, and they make way more money than these traders I see on social media overcomplicating things. So my point is this: if anybody's telling you trading psychology is about cold showers and affirmations, no. Correlation and causation is completely different. If a trader comes up to me and says, I've got a problem executing on positions, I'm not going to turn around to them and say, just go have a cold shower. Common sense would tell me that I need to look at your technical skills first. Do you even understand your method properly? What's your trading plan like? Is it just completely subjective? Do you have any level of objectivity in your trading plan? Is your trading method dynamic? Are you limited to one pair, which has its massive drawbacks with it? I would look at their trading from a technical standpoint holistically first and foremost. Then I would look at, okay, if they know their technical skill very well, why do they keep repeating the same psychological loop? Are they an impulsive trader? Are they hesitant? Having worked with so many different personalities now, let me tell you one thing: it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, childhood traumas, all these things. As a trader, you will always fit into two categories, or one of two categories. You're either very hesitant, by default this is, or you're impulsive by default. People sometimes swing and go from one to the other, I get that, but by default you are going to be one or the other. What do I mean by default? By default I mean when shit hits the fan and you're under pressure, you'll always go back to default. Okay, so whatever that is for you, need to know that. Then I will highlight what's their threshold. Where is it that they start to dip off? Is it when they lose 3 trades or 4 trades? Is it when they get into an argument? Is it that they have been completely out of routine? What actual thing affects them to a point where they cross that threshold, which I covered in my last video, where logical thinking gets overtook by emotion? And at that point it's very difficult to save somebody. I know many people that know their system and their strategy very well, but for some reason when they go on to trade larger amounts of money, they just bottle it. Right, so I'm in the station at the moment. I'm going to be executing on this trade here that you can see on AJ. The next 56 seconds we'll have a close on the 1 hour time frame. I'm very, very late for my train, but I have to execute on this because if I go into the underground, I'm actually going to lose signal. So I don't know if you can see that, but entry set on here. I've obviously set my entry on my broker platforms, but I ain't going to show that. I'll attach screenshots of the trade if, of course, I get tagged in or not, but it depends. So I'm going to make my way to the train now. I'm going to run there because I'm in a real rush. So, alright guys, so I am actually trapped. You can see I'm stuck in this cabin. The reason being is because my actual train was at 2:53, 2:33. And I knew that, so I thought I'd get on the earlier train and get home early. Why not? And it turns out this train is absolutely packed. AJ, as you can see, I didn't actually get triggered into this trade, so I removed my orders on all my accounts. As soon as I got off the tube, landed in the train station, as you can see, my entry was actually going to be on that retrace candle at the high, the rail line there, but it didn't get triggered in. This is why it's very important to always make sure that you set your trade entries not right on the candle, but just beneath it, just in case sometimes you can get triggered in, triggered out. I usually use stop orders on risk entries like this. Yeah, again, saved a loss here, didn't get triggered. Alright guys, so about to head out, run some errands. Anyway, so I want to share this, right, because it just seems to be a discussion that does not stop, because there's very, very little common sense used in the discussion. Now, you know what I'm like, you know my style. I like to approach things with as much sense as possible. Now, I'm not a know-it-all, and I'm not trying to imply that I'm a know-it-all, but where sense should be applied, I will highlight it, okay? So let me just share this with you. As you can see here, it's by Wakai, does some amazing podcasts, by the way, really good podcast host. He's put a post out here saying some traders are delusional. Before a life-threatening surgery, if your doctor said, I skipped med school but I work a lot on my psychology, would you trust him? Now obviously you wouldn't. Disclaimer, surgery is not 99% psychology, neither is trading. So I'd put down here, I agree, which I do. May I also add, I'm yet to meet a new or experienced trader who has skipped working on their technicals and moved straight to working on their mind. After working with directly over 300 people in the last 3 years and having over 11,000 members float through our ecosystem, less than 1% have prioritized their mind before their technical. So I'm not sure which traders out here are saying this. If it is less than 1%, it's not an issue worth addressing, in my opinion. We have this individual here who has retweeted this saying, shake my head, at a tweet that I made December last year saying psychology always comes first. I don't have enough typing space to prove my point and elaborate. And it was regarding his tweet here that you can see there. And he put, it's no secret I don't believe in trading psychology the way it's portrayed on social media. I don't believe a lot of the fluff thrown around can genuinely help a trader execute their edge. People ask what comes first, an edge or a good psychology. I think it's neither. I believe that without a good framework, it's impossible to develop a consistently repeatable edge. Again, it's this interpretation that edge is solely technical, but he's mentioned framework here, so we can give the benefit of the doubt. I believe without a good framework, psychology is just a feel-good mechanism to keep you motivated and tricks you to repeat the same mistakes. Well, if you don't know what to look for, then yes. And especially if you have poor coaching, no one's going to be able to assess what your problems are, let alone yourself. I believe consistency builds good psychology, and consistency only comes from strong frameworks. What do you think? Anyway, so we went back and forward here. He's put here that consistency, I believe that consistency builds good psychology, and consistency only comes from frameworks. Alright, what if you're consistent at the wrong thing? Alright, what if you're consistent at blowing accounts? Right, let me drop that one on you. What if you're consistent at blowing accounts? Do you think that that's going to build a good psychology? Tell me. The argument's already shut down just from that. I can give so many examples of this, but consistency is not the answer. It's what you're being consistent at. You've got to be consistent at the right things in order to have a good psychological framework built. So if I go down to here, I responded to him, not sure why you're shaking your head, Brian. If you think I've contradicted myself, do a little more digging. Where I've added in the end, I will tag you on Instagram. I elaborated my point in its entirety, which I did. I spoke on how psychology coming first means that the trader should, before anything, have a proper assessment of their money beliefs, performance beliefs, personality trait, emotional thresholds, as I've been speaking about in this video, my last video, before going down a long road of learning the relevant technical knowledge. It's good to know this before spending 2 years studying TAs and letting these things marinate in the background. You shaking your head at this makes no sense. Wakar is saying trading isn't 99% psychology, and I agree. Isn't, and I never said it is, which I haven't. I challenge anybody in this video, try find a video of me, or try find anything of me. You can go as far back as you like into me. You can do all the research you like. Try find one example where I've stated that trading, all psychology, or 99% psychology, where I have stated that technicals are unimportant for a trader to learn. And I can almost guarantee you won't find one example of me saying that, because it's common sense. Obviously trading is not 99% psychology, right? Obviously you have to work on your technical framework. Obviously you have to work on your technicals. I've never said not to. In fact, you know what it is? People on the outside think that at Falcon, when they look at us, they think all we tell you to do as a trader is to work on your psychology. No. The reason we kept banging on about psychology so much the past 2-3 years is because we'd seen a pattern in people over prioritizing technical analysis when genuinely they had psychological problems to work with. You know, this example of a surgeon, classic example, because what if the surgeon did go to med school and is
very skilled, he's very knowledgeable, very skilled, and he's qualified, but he's prone to panic attacks, as an example. I'm sure they obviously won't let a surgeon operate who's prone to panic attacks. I understand that. Not being a medical practitioner or a surgeon myself, that's just common sense. I'm assuming the healthcare system wouldn't necessarily allow that, but I'm giving you an example here because you can throw back the same argument. The answer is you need a well-rounded surgeon. That is what you need. You need a well-rounded individual. Now, a well-rounded individual means there's no set number or ratio, whatever, this many percentage of this or that. No, it just means that you're competent in all areas. This is why I go back to the trading trifecta again. As I've stated, the three-legged stool, so many different examples that I've given, where you need to have all those components and all those factors met. And if they're not met, you're not going to be a competent individual. So what does it mean to be a proficient trader? It means you've got your TAs laid down. It means you've got a good mental framework. It means that you've got a robust trading plan to follow that is also dynamic. I don't know why that's so difficult for people to understand. So yeah, from a coaching perspective, it's very simple. I would assess those things and I would say, right, you're very, very prone to making anxious decisions when X, Y, and Z happens. If you have an argument, what's your threshold, for example? So I've covered the thresholds in the video, so you've got a good understanding of that topic. I would understand that about the individual, get a clear idea on it, and I'll say, right, in the future, watch out for these things. So at least they're more aware. When I say work on your psychology before you TA in this situation here, I don't expect you to fully rewire yourself. All I'm saying is, with regards to working on your psychology, is just have a general assessment. People have this misinterpretation of working on your psychology mean for months and months and months, you're diving into the brain, understanding the neocortex and the amygdala and all this kind of stuff. No. How are you going to do that when you're fresh to trade? That's just common sense.